If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead no more than 16 minutes. Hello, welcome. I am predicting that famous singer-songwriter Paul Simon of the famous music duo Simon and Garfunkel will slip and fall to the ground on August 30th and then die as a result of his injuries on August 31st, 2025. This time-stamped email proves that this prediction that Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025 has been known since November 9th. We can see here the timestamp November 9th, 2024. On November 8th, 2024, we received the relevant prophetic signs related to Paul Simon. And as I wrote right here, God was pointing to November 8th ahead of time because Simon's death will point to Revelation chapter 8, verse 1. And this is the reason why Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. In short, the date 8:1 and 11:8 hint at Revelation 8:1 in the Bible, which describes a period of silence that was observed in heaven. Paul Simon's first hit was Sound of Silence. As I wrote right here, it is exactly 38 weeks between November 8th and August 1st, 2025, and Paul Simon is predicted to die at the age of 83, for which 38 weeks hints at. All right, the analysis that God was pointing to August 1st was 100% correct. However, Paul Simon did not die on August 1st. Instead, God provided clear and relevant signs related to Paul Simon, which revealed adding 7 more days to reach August 8th. The sign we received was the news report, the breaking of the news of the sale of the storied mansion in Los Angeles that was built for the most prolific TV producer in history, Aaron Spelling, and God uses extremes and records for his signs, who produced the longest-running drama series in history, Seventh Heaven. That's how we get the addition of 7 days to reach August 8th. And Simon is associated with mansions, or I should say in God's signs, mansion theme and symbolism is related to Paul Simon because his biggest solo album was the Graceland album, and the song Graceland is about Elvis Presley's mansion. There's lots to that for why God is using this theme, but this is immediately recognized. I've been following Paul Simon's signs for years now, and I've known about this theme of mansion symbolism for over 3 years. And so that's why it was immediately recognized that this sign involving the sale of this mansion, and one of the big signs is the sale of Paul Simon's mansion. It's not only a mansion sign on August 1st that we received, but the story was the sale of the mansion. And that's again because one of the signs is the sale of Paul Simon's mansion back on July 1st, 2022. And that the details of that prophetic sign are explained elsewhere. Now, another thing about the 7 days connection is Paul Simon at this time on August 1st he still is, but he won't be by the date of August 8th, touring for his new album, 7 Psalms. Okay, so just to review so far, we had God pointing to August 1st ahead of time, the date 8:1, because it describes in Revelation 8:1 a period of silence in heaven, and silence, the Sound of Silence is Paul Simon's first big hit that launched his career. On that day, we received the relevant clear sign, which was the sale of the mansion of the most prolific TV producer who produced the longest drama series in history, Seventh Heaven. Paul Simon's best-selling album was Graceland, and it was his 7th solo album, and this 7th album of Paul Simon's is named Graceland, which is named after a mansion, Elvis Presley's mansion. One of the songs that was one of Paul Simon's big hits on the Graceland album is the song The Boy in the Bubble, which was inspired by the TV movie that was produced by Aaron Spelling, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. Currently, or at the time of August 1st, Paul Simon was touring for his Seven Psalms album. The seventh heaven sign, in other words, of this, that's derived from this sale of this mansion that belonged to the TV producer that produced Seventh Heaven, indicates revealed adding 7 days. There's more confirmation for the fact that God was pointing to August 8th, far more. However, for the sake of simplicity in discussing this here, we received the prophetic sign on August 1st to add 7 days. Now, on August 8th, we received another prophetic, clear, relevant sign regarding Paul Simon, which was the news about the Royal Caribbean cruise ship. And God uses records and extremes for signs, and this is the world's largest cruise ship that this incident occurred on, which was the glass part of the water slide breaking, busting through, causing the person that was sliding to become seriously injured. And this was a slip sliding away sign, one of Simon's big hits, Slip Sliding Away, which comes from the album Greatest Hits, etc., which was released in 1977. And so that's more confirmation for the prior 7 days connection from August 1st. There was another Slip Sliding Away sign on August 8th, which was the NASCAR driver who slipped on top of his car after he was in the victory lane celebrating and seriously injured himself. He broke his collarbone. That was another Slip Sliding Away sign on August 8th. And this NASCAR driver that slipped from the roof of his car in the victory lane as he celebrated drives car number 88. And this Slip Sliding Away sign occurred on the date 8/8, August 8th. Now, the reason for this Slip Sliding Away cruise ship sign on August 8th is because Revelation chapter 8, verse 8 describes ships. And it is a long story to explain, but the ships described in Revelation chapter 8, verse 8, which is what the date 8/8 hints at with this ship sign, is symbolism for America. The ships are symbolism for America, and that's because of Isaiah chapter 23, which is about America. For those that say America isn't in Bible prophecy, it isn't correct. And the daughter of Tarshish is America in the book of Isaiah chapter 23, and Tarshish is the UK. And so the ships of Tarshish, and therefore the ships of the daughter of Tarshish, are the naval power of the UK and America, which gave these nations supremacy militarily in the world during the 19th and 20th centuries. The point is that this reveals adding 23 days to August 8th to get the date it is predicted that Paul Simon will die on August 31st. Again, because the Slip Sliding Away sign on the cruise ship, the broken slide, points to the ships in Revelation 8:8 because it occurred on the date 8/8. And we know that the ships in Revelation 8:8 symbolize America because of Isaiah chapter 23. That's why we know to add 23 days. There are many more profound reasons for knowing that Paul Simon will die on August 31st, but that's enough for this explanation here that gets us from August 1st to August 31st. It is now recognized that Paul Simon will slip and fall on August 30th, and then die the next day on August 31st as a result of his injuries. What this means is that it is irrelevant what Paul Simon's current state of health is, and there is zero news in the media regarding Paul Simon's state of health. But it is irrelevant anyway, because although I am predicting the death of an old man, it is predicted that he will die as a result of his injuries from slipping and falling the day before he's predicted to die. He's predicted to die on August 31st, but he's predicted to slip and fall to the ground on August 30th. Now, the reason for going into all of this is because it needs to be explained that in reality, or rather essentially, I predicted that Paul Simon would die on August 31st back in November of 2024. Because again, as I explained here in this email that was written on November 9th, 2024, God was pointing to August 1st, 2025 for Paul Simon's death because of Revelation 8:1, as I explained. And I just now explained the trail of signs that led from August 1st to August 8th to August 31st. And those signs were revealed through knowing August 1st ahead of time. Therefore, essentially, if you are reasonable and you have the eyes to see, I predicted that Paul Simon would die on August 31st back in November of 2024. The reasonable person will recognize that this is true. One last thing to mention here, to make clear, is that back in November of 2024, I predicted that Paul Simon would die in the month of August, because August is the 8th month of the year. And again, Paul Simon's death will point to Revelation chapter 8, which describes a period of silence in heaven, and Paul Simon's first big hit that launched his career was Sound of Silence. But more than that, Paul Simon's precise date is also being predicted. It isn't only that it is predicted that he will die in the 8th month of the year, but specifically August 31st. I am not as confident in these next two predictions number 2 and 3, but it seems that it is possible that dirty bombs will explode in New York City and Los Angeles on September 4th, 2025. There will be a large-scale evacuation from Manhattan Island. This is going to happen. It's just a question of whether this will occur on September 4th. One of the dirty bombs will explode in Penn Station, and another of the dirty bombs will explode in the port of Los Angeles. I am also not confident in prediction number 3, which is that Tehran in Iran and or Damascus in Syria will be nuked. Again, this will happen. It's just a question of whether or not this will occur on September 7th. I am predicting that Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom will die in a plane crash in St. Louis as they are traveling from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles in Busch Stadium in St. Louis on August 2nd, 2028. This will be during the predicted presidential campaign of Gavin Newsom. As a result of Gavin Newsom's death, Michelle Obama will become the Democrat Party's presidential nomination. Michelle Obama will, quote unquote, win the election over J.D. Vance on November 7th, 2028, and will become the president on January 20th, 2029. Donald Trump is predicted to run as J.D. Vance's vice president. This scheme to overcome the 22nd Amendment will backfire and inspire Michelle Obama and Barack Obama to run on the ticket with Barack Obama as Michelle Obama's vice president. She will then step down and Barack Obama will become the president again. It is predicted that there will be a massive Mary apparition on the beach in Rio, Brazil on April 24th, 2029. It is now recognized that there will be 2 massive Mary apparitions on the beach in Rio. The first of the 2 is predicted to be on March 22nd, 2029. These predicted Mary apparitions will not be secretive. They will be mainstream, worldwide news. Like all Mary apparitions in history, including at Lourdes, Guadalupe, and Fatima, this Mary apparition will be a demon pretending to be Mary. It is predicted that on April 26th, 2029, the key will open the bottomless pit and fallen angels will cross over into the earthly realm. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to the 5th trumpet judgment that is described in Revelation chapter 9, when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to demons pretending to be aliens. The demons pretending to be aliens will claim to be here to help us with our nuclear weapons. It is predicted that Pope Francis will be resurrected from the grave on April 26th, 2029, and it is possible that on this day, Pope Francis will announce that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world. This will immediately give Pope Francis, the Antichrist, supreme power over governments of the world. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to a zombie pandemic and the masses becoming demonically possessed that will be facilitated through the thing, which is the mark of the Antichrist, and 5G frequencies. April 26th, 2029 will be a symbolic beginning to the coming genocide politicide in America. The resurrection rapture event will occur on Pentecost on May 27th, 2029. On September 11th, 2029, there will be a catastrophic asteroid hit of Earth in the Indian Ocean. The greatest seismic effect of this will be felt on the other side of the globe, which is North America, and this will trigger an eruption of Yellowstone volcano and will cause the volcano in the Canary Islands to collapse into the Atlantic Ocean and send a mega tsunami towards the East Coast. It will also trigger the collapse of the Hoover Dam, which will cause a water panic in California, and many other devastating earthquakes. The day of the Lord, the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, Judgment Day, will be at the end of 2031. The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you.